control us, handed down through generations in the guise of divine truth. The familiar image of a savior, pale-skinned, blonde-haired, walking on water and resurrecting the dead, is not a timeless revelation, but rather a story carefully constructed and repackaged to keep us in a perpetual state of submission. These fables are retellings of ancient principles, stripped of their original context, reshaped into a human-centered narrative that strips away deeper spiritual meaning. This illusion of salvation has been engineered by those in power who, centuries ago, convened to rewrite history and reshape spirituality. The goal? To control your spirit, dictate your beliefs, and ultimately suppress your ability to rise in consciousness.
A lot of people, a lot of what's going on today is based upon the proliferation of fear and making you believe that a savior that has human, looks white with blonde hair, walked on water, came down and raised the dead, got nailed to a cross, that somehow that entity, after tens of thousands of years, 100,000 years of the same principle being taught to your ancestors in the form of Adonis, in the form of Asar and Heru, is changing the names to protect the guilty. So now you're just taking on a fable and a story that you've anthropomorphized into a human experience. And that's not it. And they got you. Mm-hmm. They got us dancing on a string, making us believe that somehow the Bible was written by God, which is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. By faulty men. And the people who were at the Vatican's, who was it, Eusebius of Caesarea, who led the the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Trent. These people met together in order to learn how to control you, control the spirit, and control everything having to do with your ability to raise your consciousness.
Throughout history, those in power have sought to stifle human consciousness, curbing its natural evolution and stunting its higher expression. The architects of control, political, spiritual, and economic, knew that in order to keep humanity in submission, they needed to control every facet of life, education, food, and most importantly, the way we understand spirit and divinity. They fractured the knowledge of our spiritual ancestry, breaking it into disconnected fragments we now call religion. But what is religion, if not a distortion of the original sciences, spiritual sciences that once explained our place in the cosmos and our interconnection to the divine? These ancient sciences weren't just about material understanding or quantum theories that dissect atoms and plants. They were about the knower, the part of us that taps directly into the infinite, bypassing the temporal mind that relies on external validation, the doer and thinker realms, which focus on the material world, have become the domain of modern science. But the knower, what connects us to higher consciousness, has been systematically suppressed. Those who sought control understood that to dominate the masses, they had to sever our link to this inner knowing. They built a system of priesthoods, religious doctrines, and dogmas to make sure we were regulated, bound to rigid thought structures that would prevent us from awakening the divine spark within.
Mm-hmm. Because it has consciousness in the physical form grows. It can't stop. It must find a higher expression.
Right.
But those who come to a point of power believe that they need to contain that to control you. So they want to shut down your education to contain that to control you. So they want to shut down your education. They want to shut down your food. They want to shut down the way you think about spirit and God. And to regulate that most powerful feeling of divinity, they had to cordon off the astrotheological sciences and separate them into different factions, which you call religion.
Right.
But these are nothing more than scientific principles. But it was the science of the spirit, not the so-called quantum science, which is another form of metaphysics, where you start dealing with how do plants grow, where do atoms come from, and all that. No, this is something that is coming from the knower. See, when you remember, I told you that there's something called the
thinker, doer, knower.
Right. Now, we are in the realm of the doer and the thinker. So that's the basic, what we call temporal science, what came in as religion. The knower science is within. The doer and thinker science is without. But the ones who control the without had to control the within. And so to control the knower, which is the one who gets you directly connected to your spiritual ancestry, they had to make sure that there was a bulwark against that. So the priesthood came up to regulate thinking, to make sure you are regulated in that thought process where you cannot find that spirit within. You cannot understand and grow your own consciousness towards the light, the lamp of God that taketh away the sins of the world. So all of the religions you see on the planet, other than Buddhism, Buddhism doesn't ask you to take on any form of faith. It wasn't really blemished until after it began to spread throughout the world. Mm-hmm. But Christianity was raised by the sword. Buddhism wasn't raised by the sword, wasn't spread by the sword. Christianity was spread by the sword. Islam was definitely spread by the sword. And so was Judaism when it came up and was taken over by the Khazarian Empire. So these aspects are mind control principles of mind control. Mind control empire. Judaism created by began to spread throughout the world. Mm-hmm. But Christianity was raised by the sword. Buddhism wasn't raised by the sword, wasn't spread by the sword. Christianity was spread by the sword. Islam was definitely spread by the sword. And so was Judaism when it came up and was taken over by the Khazarian Empire. So these aspects are mind control principles of mind control that stop you from individually incorporating what the science of spirit means and results in. And so now when you have a physical feeling of euphoria, you now, because of religion, really equate that as a spiritual experience. It ain't. You are essentially doing nothing more than releasing endorphins, which is what they want you to equate with spirituality. It's not. It's a way of life that brings you automatically to the peace within. And you cannot find that peace within. You cannot find spirit. You cannot find God while you're thinking of war and killing your neighbor.
We are indeed on the cusp of a massive shift, a paradigm change that is rattling the very foundation of those who have long held the reins of power. They are desperate, employing chaos and fear as tactics to convince us that division is inevitable, that we are splitting into separate entities, irreparably fragmented. But this is a lie. In truth, the essence of all things is unity. We are all expressions of the same singular force incapable of truly separating. The illusion of separation is nothing more than an illusion of control, a smokescreen designed to make us choose sides, distracting us from the fact that we are all connected, all one. As humanity awakens, as we reconnect with our higher consciousness, those who cling to fear and domination will find themselves on a path of self-destruction. We are moving beyond their reach into a new reality where love and unity are the guiding forces, and in that, they hold no power.
We are phasing into a new paradigm, and those who don't want to see that happen because they're going to lose their power, they want to create the confusion to make us believe that we're breaking away and becoming two separate things. But this whole thing, the one thing cannot split into two and remain two because it's all one. So if there are people who will break away, say for instance, from the technological utopia that they want us in, the technological utopia is the new system of the mind. And there's some of us who want to pull away and we want to get back to nature. Right. But it's the same thing. They're both sets of technologies. Depends on the technology you choose. But one is going to advance you spiritually, and the other is going to advance you physically and mentally. And they're going to whoever it is that is trying to deviate you and put you into this. Whoever it is that is trying to deviate you and put you into this transhumanism. So that's what it's about. The transhuman now is a whole new form of control. And that form of control wants to become so technologically efficient and so brutal and so non-empathetic, so that when they move against those who hold the love signature and the empathetic signature that comes with love, that we'll be able to conquer, but it never happens. Remember, hate and evil, they are on temporal energies. They can't last. They need to be fed.
Right.
Love doesn't need to be fed. It's there. All we have to do is to rest all of the panic and the anxiety that goes into surviving, and we come back to understanding and understanding. But evil will kill itself. It kills itself all the time. It ends up eating its own.
So here we are, standing on the precipice of transformation, a critical moment in our evolution where we are faced with a choice that goes beyond any superficial label. Those who hold on to control, who seek to enslave humanity through division, know they are running out of time. They cling desperately to systems that rely on our fear, our submission, and our separation from our true essence. But the truth is, their power has always been an illusion fed by our acquiescence, by our willingness to take their false truths as our own. True power lies in unity, in our collective consciousness, and in the undeniable force of love. Love doesn't need validation. It doesn't consume itself in darkness. It is the eternal light, the energy that feeds itself, sustains itself, and empowers us to break free from the cycles of control. We have within us the ability to transcend fear, to dismantle the structures designed to confine us, and to step boldly into a new paradigm of our own making. The path forward is not one of division, but of integration, of reconnecting with our higher selves, and remembering that the power they have tried to hoard was never theirs to begin with. We are the masters of our own destiny, reclaiming the legacy of our ancestors and stepping into a future defined not by limitations, but by the infinite possibilities of our own creation.